Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we are kicking off Season 3 of Muppet Babies as we head into the fall of 1986 with the first 3 episodes. And those episodes are Pigerella, The Best Friend I Never Had, and The Weirdo Zone.
Seldom do I feel less hopeful than when I'm just staring down the barrel of a bunch of Muppet Babies.
I mean, yeah, it is sometimes a bummer to realize there's 8 seasons of this show that we have to watch. But I will say, even though Muppet Babies is back, thankfully, the Muppets, Jim Henson, Frank Oz, they were all doing a lot of stuff in late 1986. So we will get some breaks between episodes here. So don't worry. It won't be all Muppet Babies for like the next 8 episodes or whatever. We'll have some breaks built in, including next week. We're going to be talking about Jim Henson Idea Man, the Disney Plus documentary that's coming out.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious because there was a Ron Howard interview where the headline was something like, Ron Howard promises surprises about Jim Henson in his new documentary. And I was like, oh, what's this going to be? Read the article, and no offense, I'm sure there's more in there that we don't know. But the things he was sharing in this article were like if you just read Brian J. Jones's book and you were like, did you know Jane Henson was actually really involved in this stuff early on? And
it's for all the non-readers out there.
Yeah, and non-listeners to this podcast. So, yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see what's in there that we haven't seen. I know they've talked about the fact that the Henson family has shared a lot of home videos. So obviously those have previously not been seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I am optimistic that it'll be a good time. I just don't know how much we'll learn being the very niche people who do this every single week.
Yeah, but it might be good for business, you know?
If only Ron Howard would come on the podcast and talk about his documentary.
Yeah, we're telling you, Ron. Call us up.
Well, it's time to get it over with, Sam. What do we watch this week?
We got to dive right in.
We got to dive right in.
You know, it's this Band-Aid off.
It is the Muppet Babies Band-Aid. We have been dealt. The wound has been opened. Let's rip it off.
Okay. It's September 13th, 1986. You're still a dumb kid, still compelled to wake up first thing in the morning to watch a bunch of terrible Saturday morning cartoons. And today is a special day of terrible cartoons. It's the season premiere of Season 3 of The Muppet Babies. However, from your perspective, Muppet Babies runs every Saturday at the same time, so aside from noticing that the opening theme has slightly different animation, you do not know or care about this fact. This episode is called Pigerella. Scooter and Skeeter sneak to the kitchen to steal some snacks, much to the disgust of Piggy, who knows what they're doing is wrong. When they get back, Piggy seizes the cupcakes and tries to sneak them back to the kitchen, but ends up making a big mess and getting caught by Nanny, who thinks she's the one trying to steal the cupcakes. Skeeter throws Piggy under the bus by not fessing up, and Piggy is forced to clean up the mess. As she does so, she imagines she's Cinderella with the fairy godmother, the wicked stepsisters, all of this. Eventually, for some reason, Skeeter just feels bad and confesses that she and Scooter stole the cupcakes, and Nanny makes them all a fruit salad. Though you are a child, you can't ignore the gnawing sense that you have something better to do than watch Muppet Babies. However, because you are a child, your brain is all messed up and you forget how bad Muppet Babies is over the course of the week. You find yourself planted in front of the TV on September 20th, 1986, ready to watch the best friend I've never had. The babies see an ad on TV for a service that will match them up with new best friends. They think this sounds neat, but they are babies, so they don't have any money. So they use Scooter's computer. That rhymes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
They
it's
don't
not a
ever do
great
any.
rhyme.
They don't ever do anything with that, but they
Old
should.
Scooter computer over here.
Oh, look, I'm going to write an
Nerd.
episode of Muppet Babies right now. It's called Scooter's Computer. And
I mean,
he
to be
goes on the
fair,
computer.
one, that's every episode. Two, there's a very good chance that's the title of an episode.
Oh, shoot. Okay, so they have to use Scooter's computer, and it's just fun to say, and their own diseased imaginations to imagine their ideal best friends. Piggy imagines Kermit, except he's a detective. Fozzie imagines Charlie Chaplin. Skeeter imagines Arnold Schwarzenegger. Though by the end of each of these imaginary scenarios, their friend has failed them somehow or proven to just not be up to the task of being an ideal best friend. In the end, they all realize that they have their perfect best friends, each other. Meanwhile, you've lost another 20 minutes of your life, but you're 8, so it doesn't bother you yet, but it will. Flash forward to September 27th, 1986. You've sworn off Muppet Babies, but you slept over at a friend's house last night, and this kid fucking loves Muppet Babies. He's got sheets, he's got pajamas, he's got toys, got the whole 9 yards. He's a real piece of work. So, Saturday morning comes, and guess what he turns on? The Muppet Babies show. Oh man. This week's episode is called The Weirdo Zone. Gonzo is a little freak, and everybody knows it. But Nanny recognizes that it's probably not good for the other kids to just scream in his face how weird he is all the time, so she tells them to try to see the world like Gonzo sees the world, to develop some kind of sympathy for the little goon. So they all take turns imagining the weirdest stuff they can think of, and they do a really good job. Too good a job, if you ask Gonzo, who's a little put out that his weirdness isn't actually that special. So he tries to be very normal, but he ends up being a freak as always, and all of his friends concede that he is actually the nastiest little weirdo around, even when he's not trying at all. Then we also watched some commercials, and like 2 short commercials and 1 really long commercial for the Muppet Babies Live. Yes, they've crawled out of the screens and into the real world, and they brought along a very giant nanny with them. Try to stay alive as the babies frolic, sing, and heck, you might just learn something too. They're real live Muppet Babies. Imagine, if you dare. Aside from Muppet Babies, Saturday mornings in 1986 looked a little bit like this. You got your Care Bears, you got your real Ghostbusters, Gummy Bears, Smurfs, and the Flintstone Kids, a show with a pretty familiar formula, that being characters you love, but kids. And also Pee Wee's Playhouse, which I maybe had mentioned last season, but that premiered like the last television year.
Yeah, notably, the Flintstone Kids debuts the same day as this first episode of this season 3 of Muppet Babies. So
You
they,
gotta get in on that kids fever, you know?
yeah. Also, looking at the TV schedule is wild for back then because they were at the time airing 2 back-to-back episodes of Muppet Babies. I'm assuming 1 new one and 1 old one.
Yeah, right.
That's because originally that spot was for Little Muppet Monsters, which
Ah.
obviously stopped. But they were also that was on CBS, and then on ABC at that same time they were airing an hour of the Flintstone Kids, followed by an hour of the Real Ghostbusters.
Whoa, kids wars.
And then on NBC, there was an hour and a half of the Smurfs.
Oh, that's too much Smurfs.
That's a
I
lot of
think that's-
Smurfs.
I think that's a bad call on their part.
Saturday mornings were truly unhinged, like back then, because you had like all 3 networks were all kids shows, all the way up until noon.
Whoa, until noon?
Yeah.
I feel like when we were kids, it was not that long. Is that
Well,
right?
we also had more than 3 channels.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I didn't for a long time. I only had the
Mm.
3.
I mean, they get a little bit more like adult-ish, like teen-ish as you get closer to noon. You get like Punky Brewster and Land of the Lost.
Yeah.
But early on,
That's
I mean,
true.
you got your only options at 8:30 a.m. were the Care Bears Family, Adventures of the Gummy Bears, or Wildfire.
Oh, Wildfire looks cool, though.
Never heard of it in my life.
A 13-year-old girl growing up in the American West discovers her true identity as a princess in hiding from another realm who is destined to fight the evil witch, Lady Diabolin. And she's like a cowgirl and she's got a horse, and she's fighting monsters. That sounds awesome.
Well, elsewhere in the world of the Muppets around this time, we kind of skipped from summer into fall because there wasn't much between Labyrinth and Muppet Babies. But we had on July 2nd, 1986, Jim was on a British television show called Breakfast Time. Basically, Jim was on with a kid, like answering questions about Muppets.
A sensical name for a British television show. Who would have ever guessed? Breakfast Time was also the name of that show that I really loved on FX with the puppet.
Oh, maybe it was like a spin-off.
Yeah, maybe so.
But on August 26th, 1986, Jim writes in his journal, filming first storyteller. Steve Barron directs Hans My Hedgehog. So this is, obviously we've talked a little bit about storyteller in the past, but apparently when Jim was getting ready to go, he was like, hey, give me some young, hip, cool music video directors to bring a, quote, vibrant and engaging look to ancient stories. And Steve Barron is the one that we talked about before, directed the Bowie music videos from Labyrinth, but he also directed Michael Jackson's video for Billie Jean. So I'm guessing a pretty popular director at the time, if he's directing Bowie and Michael Jackson.
And Hans My Hedgehog.
The trifecta. In September 1986, Jim writes, working on interactive movie process with Sherry L.
Okay.
So this is Sherry Lansing, who was the president of 20th Century Fox at the time. If you remember back when we were talking about 1980, which would have been about 2 years ago now, we talked about Jim wanting to make an interactive movie called The Varied Adventures of Mischievous Miles, a movie that he was working on with Lisa Henson, John Stone, and Maurice Sendak. And basically they came up with this idea that was going to be a way for the audience to change the movie they were watching in the theater in 1980.
Okay.
Based on the response of the audience. But they were like, okay, so we're going to need multiple projectors and a projectionist who's like sitting there waiting to like switch projections like thing or projectors at a moment's notice and be able to switch back to a different one. So they really were like, yeah, this is impossible.
Were they pushing buttons? Do we know what the audience was doing?
I think it was based solely off of their reaction. So it was going to be, I think, somebody talking to the audience and saying, what do you think I should do?
That's insane.
And they'd be like, go left. And they'd be like, all right, Mr. Projectionist, quick, hit the go left button.
What a nightmare.
Yeah. But in the mid-'80s, Jim saw video games.
Oh,
and was like, hey, Sherry, I'm back. What if we tried this again? So apparently Sherry Lansing had found someone who had developed some sort of system that would allow a movie to be actually interactive. So that when a character would turn to the audience and asks which choice they preferred, the loudness of the response would trigger the real choice in the projection booth.
So what was that video game with the dragon? Dragon something.
Double Dragon?
The one where it was like fully animated by Don Bluth.
Dragon Slayer.
No, I don't think so.
I'll wait for Sam to realize I'm right.
Dragon's Lair.
Damn it.
That sounds so much like Slayer, though.
Yeah, that's what I said. I just had a Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer.
What year did that come out? Because that's basically the same idea, except you're standing in front of 1983. So
that might have been one of the things that Jim saw and was like, we need to do this, but big.
Yeah, it's time.
So Jim had someone get a report together on the history and traditions of audience participation, which pretty much just said, hey, live shows did better when the audience was into it.
Okay, cool. Great research.
Based on this, Jim wrote up a concept called the New and Improved Little Red Riding Hood, filmed in widescreen Yellovision.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
It's a really great name.
I think that's a better subtitle for something that's not Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really boring, and then it gets really interesting at the end.
Yeah, if it was like Dracula, filmed in widescreen Yellovision.
Yeah, why not just make Dracula, Jim? Too violent. That's not going to bring world peace.
I'm going to read a lot of this verbatim from Jim's Red Book because it's too good not to. He described a film featuring puppets for the main characters with Kermit as a moderator referee to keep the story moving and help the audience know what to do. Potentially, a live guest or two would appear. Someone like, quote, Pee Wee Herman, David Letterman, Dolly Parton, or Alf?
I would love to see him try to get David Letterman to. What does he mean, like in the theater?
No, I think this is in the movie.
Okay. Alf? We could have had an Alf crossover.
We also could have had the Dolly Parton, she does do some things with the Muppets pretty soon that we'll watch.
Uh-huh.
But we have pitched in the past, Dolly Parton should have done a movie with the Muppets.
I mean, I
She
think
almost kind of didn't, but in Jim's head, she did.
I think we've pitched all of these people working with the Muppets except David Letterman. I
Although
don't think would like it.
he wouldn't.
Yeah, he did.
But how much would a Kermit episode of that to introduce our guest star, or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Our next guest needs no introduction.
Guest needs no introduction. This would be the thing you proposed is Kermit with a big scraggly beard interviewing people.
I mean, not the
That's
worst
not
idea.
a bad idea.
If
to
Muppets
introduce
Now
a
was
guest
still
star.
going.
That would be one of their little parody things. Yeah.
Well, by 1987, the idea of using a well-known fairy tale was abandoned, and writer Jeffrey Scott, writer of Muppet Babies, was brought in to explore other directions for this interactive movie idea. He produced a screenplay called The Adventures of Spade and Marlowe, a modern-day detective story.
Okay.
Sounds familiar to something
That sounds
we
like
watched this
every
week.
episode of Muppet Babies.
Well, it was going to incorporate familiar elements from 1930s film noir and classic monster movies. So he
That
is
sounds
on board
better. He's getting
with
closer to
the
Dracula.
the widescreen Yellow-vision.
Yeah.
But as Jim's Red Book says, while everyone seemed to enjoy Scott's script, after further development, the team moved on to other things.
Oh, what's the story there?
I don't know. I wouldn't mind reading that, but
Too exciting.
maybe they just.
Jim said too exciting.
I think it's too hard of an idea, and they just didn't want to admit it.
Yeah. There used to be a big thing in the 60s, which is probably like Jim probably saw these where there were like traveling shows that would play horror movies, and the movies would have a built in element where something would come out of the screen, but it would just be like a teenager running into the crowd in a costume, or like the Tingler. So,
I mean, that is Muppet Vision 3D.
Exactly. Yeah.
You just have Sweetums running out.
He was involved in the development of that,
Yeah.
right? His dream came true finally. If he was like, he watched, he said, it would be great. Perfect if we could get David Letterman. That's my only regret.
My only regret is that we didn't get David Letterman in a Muppet project. September 21st, 1986, Jim writes Vacation Cruise with Bernie, etc. Italy, Sardinia, I Turn 50. Well, also around that same time, presumably a pre-taped segment, he was on Blue Peter, another British show, on September 22nd, 1986.
Bad name. Another one with a bad name.
I mean, that one's been on forever, though, so I don't think they're changing that one anytime soon.
They came up with the title for that one in the Victorian era.
It's based on a Navy flag, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But on this appearance, which obviously we do not have the clip for, otherwise we'd be talking about it a little different, Jim and Kermit appear, and Jim shows basically how Kermit works with rods on his arms, and they discuss Muppet Babies and show a clip. But that was all that was happening, besides Muppet Babies, in the world of the Muppets in fall 1986.
Did he take a little break or what?
I mean, if he's taking a vacation for his birthday, presumably a little bit at least.
That's true. He's nursing a broken heart from the reception to the labyrinth at this point too, I'd assume, huh?
At this point, probably, yeah. I mean, to be fair, it hasn't opened internationally yet. It doesn't open in England until December, so he may not be fully aware of the impact or lack thereof at this point. But, they've got, clearly he's working on the Storyteller. He's making new stuff. He's got the Christmas toy coming up. Frank has Little Shop of Horrors coming up, so they're doing stuff. They're not maybe quite as busy as they were before Labyrinth came out, but I think they deserve some rest after making that giant weird movie.
I think that you're right.
Well, then the first thing we watched this week is Muppet Babies Live, the stage show. Obviously, we weren't able to watch the entire thing, but we did get to watch some commercials for it. Overall vibes, Sam?
Creepy! Especially when that kid is like turned around and he sees them in his hallway dancing around, and he's like, they're right there. And like his siblings are just like, yeah, would be cool if they were right there. Right? It's like, no, turn around before it's too late.
Yeah, the kids are watching TV. and they're
It's like
watching Muppet Babies, and they're like, "Wouldn't it be cool if the Muppet Babies came to our town?" And the brother runs in, they're like, "They are here! Look, turn
they're
around!" And they're
chasing
like,
me. They're
"Yeah,
chasing me.
good one, Todd."
Yeah, and they're just back there doing some Pennywise dancing while
Well,
Todd's trying to get him to turn around.
and there's a concerning scale in this set that they built for the
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah.
It's all wrong. It's like someone thought, okay, we'll make a slightly bigger set to make them look like babies,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to do any math. Because if you just look at, which is what I did, when the kid runs in, there's like this little like wood trim along the like next to the baseboard of the door, and that comes up to about his knee. And then when Kermit and Gonzo come out, that's at their head height. So I'm like, wait, Kermit and Gonzo are supposed to be the height of like a 9-year-old's knee?
Tiny.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But then, if you also notice, when they cut to the clip of Kermit and Gonzo on this set, the light switch is like a foot off the ground,
Okay.
and so is a painting. So I think they
Okay.
just compressed the entirety of the real set down
Uh-huh.
into a weird between uncanny scale that doesn't really tell you how big these Muppet Babies are supposed to be.
Yeah, that light switch is fucking me up.
Well, and also if like that's, a standard light switch, what is that, 2-3 inches across?
Uh-huh.
It is like as big almost as like Kermit's face.
Yeah.
So we're also saying that Kermit is only like 8 inches tall.
They should have just not had the light switch in that shot.
Again, I think it is like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. They were like, let's make things big. Like, let's not do any math. This looks big enough to me. It is also weird that they just come in and start doing some weird dance moves.
Pantomiming, which you don't think of the Muppet Babies being quiet.
Well, it's like they're fucking with him. It's
Uh-huh.
like they're like, no one's gonna believe you. No one's gonna believe you. And somehow it actually gets a little weirder after that because we get an ad from the National Imagination Bureau, which throws up a test pattern on the screen and tells you to close your eyes and imagine for the next 25 seconds what it would be like to see the Muppet Babies in real life.
Yeah, but if you close your eyes, you're gonna miss the commercial where they show you.
Yeah, the commercial's only about 20 seconds long. So you
Literally
would
the worst commercial of all time.
Yeah, what I was hoping was going to happen is that they were going to describe something fantastical for 20 seconds
Yeah.
and then say, now open your eyes. Look, your imagination is real.
Here they are.
But instead, no, they show all the cool footage while you're supposed to have your eyes closed.
Yeah, and then you miss it all.
But we do see a few brief promos as well, where the story does seem to be, imagine the Muppet Babies on stage.
Yeah, because they say that a lot.
Yes. They have a giant nanny, which seems to be a split screen effect. I'm not really sure if that was part of the show necessarily or just the commercials.
That's the thing that I would love to see what that is. Because you're right, but the door that they're standing next to in that shot is real, I believe.
Right, but the footage of the nanny legs
Yeah.
seems to be like a person wearing, like a normal sized person wearing a nanny costume.
Right.
Spliced into footage. So I don't think they could have had like a screen that big at that high of quality. So I think that's spliced
No.
together for the commercial. But I'm wondering if they did have some version of that.
There were big puppet legs for Nanny or something.
I don't know. I feel like when I saw Power Rangers live on stage in the 90s, they had a big, giant, inflatable Lord Zed, which looked terrible in retrospect. But they did defeat it by popping it at the end. So good job,
wow.
Rangers. Well, and they also say the Muppet Babies are life-sized, which false.
No.
Or at least I hope false.
As well. Yeah. In the universe of the Muppet Babies, Nanny actually is several stories tall.
Well, and baby Kermit is 6 feet tall, so he actually shrinks as he turns into an adult.
Oh no. Little Kermit just pops out of him.
Oh. Well, and it seems like the plot of the story, which I did not look up, is that it's raining, and so they have to stay inside and use their imaginations.
Yeah, just like every other day of their lives.
Yeah, they don't get into the we're not allowed to go outside.
Even where it's not raining. Yeah, we still can't leave.
But this is the first of 3 Muppet Babies live shows that they will do. I think just back to back to back. They do Muppet Babies Live, Muppet Babies Magic Box, and Muppet Babies Where's Animal.
But this looked it looked okay. It didn't look low rent. It maybe looked less annoying than the Muppet Show live.
Yeah, I don't think any of these were good, in retrospect. I don't
Sure.
think any of these live shows with walk around characters were going to be that entertaining. Like they were very much for the target audience of the shows, which was babies.
But the characters look good and their mouths move convincingly in my opinion.
I was surprised by the amount of mouth movement.
Yeah.
There's also some creepy clowns for some
Yeah.
reason that we see pop out of a box.
Uh-huh.
And at one point, Gonzo is singing a love song to Camilla.
Oh yeah. That didn't occur to me as weird until you just said that.
Yeah. At this point in
They're
Muppet
still
Babies,
friends, and Camilla's not real.
Camilla's a stuffed little bird.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's all about.
She's also eaten in one of the episodes we watched, so she's dead too.
R.I.P. Camilla.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the episodes we watched, we should get into it, Sam. Episode 1 of Season 3, Pigerella, aired exactly 1 year before I was brought in to this world.
Oh, you weren't yet a glimmer, but you were close.
Close to a glimmer.
And this will encapsulate 1 year before my birth as well.
It will. That's what happens when we're born so close together.
When our parents had sex at the same time almost.
Yeah, probably around New Year's, something like that.
Yeah,
New Year's
probably.
parties. Well, it's not only a new season of Muppet Babies, we also got some new voices on Muppet Babies.
Yes.
Howie Mandel is out.
Get out of here, Howie.
Frank Welker, who is already here, still here.
Work harder, Frank.
Yeah. Not only is he Kermit, he's also now Skeeter. But who's that? Coming in from San Francisco, it's Uncle Joey himself, Dave Coulier. He is now the voice of Baby Animal and Baby Bunsen.
Does it feel different to you?
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't feel as different as I was expecting.
Yeah, I think Frank Welker, good at his job, doing a good job. But there is, because I watched so much Bobby's World as a kid,
the
voice of Skeeter was just Bobby from Bobby's World.
Yeah, you're right.
And now it's not quite Bobby. And I feel like Frank Welker has done just so many thousands of voices through the years that this sounds like other Frank Welker-y things that I've heard.
Yeah, I can picture like some kind of animal making that sound, but
I mean, he is Abu in Aladdin.
That's probably what it is. Yeah.
To me, I think Dave Coulier is doing a good job because Animal barely different.
Yeah, I agree.
And Baby Bunsen surprisingly sounds the same.
Was he stunt casting? Did anybody know who Dave Coulier was yet?
I don't think so. Okay. We were still about a year out from Full House, I think.
Because Howie Mandel was known, wasn't he, when he was doing these voices?
I mean, they were both stand-up comedians in the
right.
80s, so I don't know how well-known either of them were at the time, but I don't know that animation was doing a ton of stunt casting back then.
Oh, sure. I guess it wouldn't really make sense to do that, but I mean, he had been Gremlins for God's sake. So
well, yeah, but most people weren't coming out of Gremlins in the 80s being like, I gotta know who did the voice of that gremlin. But it's not only new voices this season, we also have a new intro. It's the same song, but all the animation and film clips are different.
Yeah, I like this one better, I think.
Yeah, no, it seems a little bit more alive, and I think now it makes the other one look like a first draft.
But the other one I think is the one you see. Like that's the one I'm more familiar with. Maybe that's the one in syndication or something like that. Because we do see it on the Weirdo Zone, like a shortened version of it.
Yeah, where they're riding the train around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels like the canonical Muppet Babies intro to me. But this one is better.
This one feels like they're really enjoying the fruits of their success. They're luxuriating in it.
But we open up this episode with Gonzo staring at a kitty cat clock on the wall. And Kermit has a delightful line, which is, uh-oh, looks like the clock hypnotized Gonzo again.
For what reason does this occur?
How many times has this occurred is my question. But I don't know about you. It's not just the voices. Something about this episode in particular feels really off.
Oh, this is the only episode I even remotely enjoyed a millisecond of.
I think this was my least favorite episode we've ever watched of Muppet Babies. Yeah.
This episode is it feels like somebody with their full presence of mind wrote it to me.
I think you're right, and I think what's probably going to be the answer to both these questions of why I disliked it and why you liked it
Uh
is these nasty little brats,
huh.
Scooter and Skeeter.
I loved this development for
I
them.
okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
It's it's like not doesn't match Skeeter's character at all to all of a sudden be the person who's like, let's do a little crime. But I do love the dynamic of her doing a little crime and pulling Scooter along with her. That feels so much like something a younger Muppet Scooter would do. He would be the little like, oh, I guess if you say so, I got to come do it. But because he's like a little criminal when he grows up too. So these two being kind of nasty, I like that. That works for me.
I hated it.
Oh.
I think one, like, they make the infighting way worse than it has been in the past with like Skeeter and Piggy fighting.
Yeah,
Uh
that was unpleasant to me. That was the one part of it I didn't like is like they've really pumped up the like the girls hate each other thing.
yeah, which like previously they would do it within a story of like they were fighting over a role or something like that,
Uh-huh.
and like we've commented on it in the past as being notable, but also like they ramped it up to this is not even just infighting in a fantasy world. This is Skeeter wants to do a bad thing and Piggy is like yelling at her about not doing it, and Skeeter's like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna do it anyways."
Yeah. And then Skeeter just straight up like sells Piggy down the river.
Yeah, and there's also something weird that happens in this episode that doesn't happen in the other two, although there's other things that happen in this vein that we'll get to. Uh, Skeeter's glasses are animated in this episode,
Yeah,
so,
they
and they
turn
get
mean.
yeah, that doesn't happen any other time. And like anytime she's being like mean to Piggy or scheming behind her back, her glasses turn into evil eyebrows.
Yeah, she's really been possessed by some kind of evil force at this point.
I was worried this was going to be Skeeter from now on.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't seem that way based on the other two episodes we watched this week, but
No.
I did not enjoy this Skeeter. I also don't know if it's the copy we were watching, but the animation seems worse too. Like it almost seems like it's like the frame rate is worse.
Yeah,
But
I wouldn't be surprised if the character design does look different. I didn't necessarily ping as worse to me,
yeah.
but they do look different.
Well, and apparently it might get worse later on.
Oh, you know what? I'm looking at some stills and they do look weird. They're like their legs are too long. Their scale is weird.
Yeah, there was something just this entire episode just felt a little off to me,
Hmm.
um, in a bunch of different ways. But I do want to note that there may be some point in the future where we do notice animation get actively worse. Apparently, from season 1 through like the middle of season 4, the series is produced with Toei animation, and it apparently costs 30 grand per episode to get animated.
Okay.
But in February 1985, the yen starts to rise against the US dollar.
Oh.
And as a result, the cost goes up to $50,000 an episode. And so they switch companies and go with a different, cheaper animation studio for the remainder of the series, starting in the middle of season 4.
Huh.
So
I know that happened to other shows, like they stopped working with their Japanese animation partner, but it's never occurred to me that it happened because of the yen going up, and I'm sure
yeah,
that was like across the board.
yeah. So maybe a lot of cartoons start looking
Yeah,
way worse in 1987.
that's very interesting.
So Scooter, while he is dragged along with Skeeter, he's also kind of really into this idea of committing crime.
Uh huh.
He puts forth Muppet Impossible, a Mission Impossible sort of parody scheme fantasy. He pulls it up on his computer, and Scooter and Skeeter break into the fridge like a bank vault.
Yeah, I think what parts, so elements of this segment were little bit less imagined than they have been in the past. Like Scooter brings up the Mission Impossible
Mm-hmm.
logo on his screen, and I feel like they do like kind of in all of these episodes. I felt like they did a little bit better job weaving the imagination stuff and the real stuff together more in a way where
Mm.
it wasn't entirely like, well, that was completely pointless. I think there was still a lot of completely pointless stuff, but
Because yeah, for me, the fantasy segments in this batch were also my least favorite fantasy segments.
huh. Okay.
For me, because I felt like in the past the fantasy segments were sort of standing on their own with jokes and visual bits. Uh, and I felt like in this one, there was a lot of very just straightforward fantasy scenes
Yeah.
where it was like, what if we were in Cinderella? It'd probably go something like this. And
Yeah,
then they just do Cinderella.
I was waiting for the Cinderella punchline the whole time, which never ever came at all. And it just ran out of
Yeah.
steam at the end, basically.
Yeah. I just felt like it was a little bit of like, yeah, it wasn't actually like a parody or a satire of the thing that they were imagining. They just
Yeah.
imagined it very straightforward.
It's just like Piggy feeling sorry for herself.
Yeah. There was a good moment of Nanny being a terrible nanny when Scooter and Skeeter fall in the hallway on their way back from breaking into the fridge.
Yeah.
They make a very loud noise and run away. And Nanny goes, "What was that? Must have been the wind."
Must have been the wind. Couldn't be the half a dozen children I have locked away in my house.
So Piggy's going to return the cupcakes so no one gets in trouble. And Scooter and Skeeter, this is when they're getting real nasty. The eyebrows are definitely slanted, angry looking,
Yeah.
just like, I don't think you're gonna do that, Piggy.
I liked them like this. I'm rewatching it silently right now. I think they could have been the bad guys. They could have been the Phil and Lil of the series more often.
Phil and Lil weren't the bad guys.
But they were kind of like they were like the bullies to a slight degree, you
They
know?
bullied Chucky and only Chucky.
Well, somebody had to do it, and somebody needs to bully all these babies too.
So Chucky is the Gonzo and the Fozzie, I think.
Yeah, totally. I was thinking the same thing.
He's more a Fozzie because he's not as
Mhm.
weird or fun as a Gonzo.
He's just a coward mostly, right?
Yeah.
And he's got fun clothes, but it kind of ends there.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it is. He looks more like a Gonzo, but he acts like a Fozzie.
Yeah. Tommy is, I guess, Kermit.
He's
but
gotta be Kermit. They have the
Kermit's
same
pretty-
head.
Kermit's pretty Kermit's pretty boring compared to Tommy, I think, though.
But I think Kermit's the one who's gonna step up
Yeah.
if he
that's
needs
true.
to. If he needs to
That's
break
true.
out of a playpen,
Yeah.
he would grab the screwdriver.
Yeah. And then Piggy's Angelica, obviously.
Yeah, I guess so.
Sometimes she's Susie, though. Because sometimes Piggy has like a pretty strong moral code.
Right. That's why I don't think Piggy is by default the Angelica, just because
No.
she doesn't have that older bully vibe.
She and Skeeter kind of take turns being Angelica every now and then.
And I guess just Phil and Lil have to be Scooter and Skeeter.
I guess by
'cause
default.
we got twins.
Yeah. Then we have a bunch of superfluous Muppet Babies who don't really have a one-to-one.
Yeah, Rolf is the grandpa or something.
Yeah.
I think eventually we'll get Janice. Maybe she's the Angelica of Muppet Babies.
Oh yeah, she's like their babysitter or something, right?
Yeah, she looks older and weirder.
Mean babysitter or something.
Stoned out of her mind.
Yeah.
Well, Nanny catches Piggy, quote, trying to steal. But actually Piggy is putting the food back. But Nanny...
It's kind of weird that in their own home they're not allowed to go to the refrigerator. Like, if I know children, if I saw children go to the refrigerator and open it, I wouldn't say, "You're stealing."
We've also seen these kids almost starve to death multiple times because of
Yeah.
Nanny's behavior. So
Yeah.
if these kids want to eat, let them eat.
Yes, I think children should not necessarily be hungry.
Wow, bold stance from Sam Schultz over
That's
here.
right. That's right.
Well, in getting surprised by getting caught, Piggy makes a bit of a mess, which leads to Nanny punishing her by making her clean up the whole kitchen.
She's a baby.
And Skeeter, there's a little bit of like weird logic leaps that happen here where Nanny does not say, "Piggy, you have to clean up this entire kitchen by yourself."
Uh-huh.
She says, "Piggy, you need to clean up this mess." And Scooter and Skeeter, "You should make sure Piggy cleans this up."
Yeah.
That's her
Evil.
rules.
Uh-huh.
And Skeeter's like, "Can do, Nanny. Awesome. Love this plan." But later on, the other Muppets are like, "We should help Piggy out." And Skeeter's like, Nanny said Piggy has to do it all by herself.
Uh-huh.
But she didn't, though.
Well,
Like, they make it into a thing where the other Muppets are sort of betraying Nanny's rules in order to do, like,
oh, I see what
something
you're saying.
good to help out Piggy.
Uh-huh.
Like, they are straight up going against Nanny's rules to help out a friend.
Yes.
But that wasn't really the rule that was established at the beginning.
Yeah. This episode's ending also reminded me of those episodes of Fraggle Rock where the character who was wrong never learns that they're wrong.
Well, it's even weirder in this one because Skeeter just changes her entire personality.
Uh-huh.
She's just suddenly like, okay, let's clean.
Yeah. She didn't learn anything from the story. That it doesn't seem like Piggy's even really telling anybody. She's just thinking about it herself, maybe.
Right. And speaking of the story, obviously it is Pigerella. It is the story of Cinderella, where Scooter and Skeeter are the evil stepsisters and Nanny is the evil stepmother. And again, there's not much to say about it because it is extremely straightforward
Yeah.
until Fozzie, the door to door sales bear, shows up selling vacuums,
Uh-huh.
which transitions into the real world where Fozzie is almost sucking Gonzo into the vacuum.
Which is more fantastical than what is happening in the fantasy.
Yeah, it's just straight up Cinderella. She has to clean, can't go to the ball, Scooter's in a dress. Like, I guess maybe that's the joke if
I
they're going for a
guess.
joke in that segment.
But I feel like in previous seasons, Fozzie wouldn't actually even have a vacuum cleaner. Like that would be a
You're
fantasy as
right.
well. So I was surprised when he did have a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily trust these 3-year-olds with a
Who
giant ass
knows?
vacuum that one of them can fit inside of.
How old are they supposed to be?
I don't know. I don't know enough about kids to guess.
No, but I think you have to be like 8 maybe before you can use a vacuum cleaner. Don't you
Yeah, they're
think?
definitely not 8. They're
No.
definitely in the 2 to 3 range.
Yeah. Not old enough to do a good job at cleaning a kitchen. And it's also dangerous. I think she's got gas burners on her stove. So be careful.
Well, when the Pigerella fantasy sequence continues, Kermit, of course, is the prince. The fairy god weirdo, Gonzo, shows up. And then we get another fantasy within a fantasy where Gonzo goes to fairy school because his magic wand isn't working.
This was quite strange.
And fairy school is taught by Bunsen. Bunsen and Beaker, notably not in this episode, outside of this
Yeah.
fantasy within a fantasy.
She's just thinking about him.
Yeah. She's like, hey, what are those guys up to? But the reason that Gonzo has to go to school is because his first attempt at turning her into a princess for the ball turns her into a mummy. I'm trying to think if there's anything more to say about that than that, and there's not. But I'm like,
No.
there's got to be something there, right, Sam?
Nothing. There's nothing anywhere in any of this, Matt. It's a blasted hellscape.
Well, they get Piggy a tomato coach because they can't find a pumpkin, but Fozzie's there, so of course he's got a tomato nearby.
That was a little bit cute, I thought.
The curfew is 7 instead of midnight, obviously because they're kids.
Because they're babies. Yeah, maybe the problem is that like any of the other characters would be more interesting being Cinderella than Piggy. Because Piggy is already so Disney princess coded that it's not anything for her to be Cinderella. And in the past when
Right.
they've done Snow White, it's been like, you seem like you would be the shoe-in choice to be Snow White, but you are not. You, ma'am, are no Snow White.
Well, because she still has Piggy personality.
Yeah.
Like, she's still bossy. She is still punching people. She's still
Right.
behaving like Piggy while trying to put on this facade of a sweet Disney princess.
Yeah. But
But
in
in
this,
this,
she's actually just being sweet.
right, she's just playing the role of Cinderella.
Yeah.
But she does get a nice 80s Debbie Harry look going on.
Yeah.
When finally Gonzo does remember how to cast a magical spell.
She looks cool.
Is I like it, but it's also weird that everyone else is dressed for a normal elegant ball.
They're all
and her-
squares though.
Yeah.
The kids are watching this, and they're like, well, Piggy looks dope.
And then the normal Cinderella story plays out.
I did like when the tomato turned into a car and Fozzie's like, I'm stuck in here, and Gonzo's like, I gotcha. And he just blows the wall out with his wand.
Yeah, there are moments. I don't know. I just when I don't know why it's so straightforward of a Cinderella story for the
Yeah.
most part.
It's quite strange. And it's like making me think like she's not letting, they don't know that she's pretending to be Cinderella.
Right, she's not telling them
Yeah.
oh, poor Cinderella, I have to do this all on my own.
Yeah.
And I can't.
She's just stewing in her own little fantasy world right now.
I think something that could have helped was if there was something that Piggy was being kept from. Like if the kids were playing a game or they were going to take a trip to the zoo or something, but
Yeah.
Piggy couldn't do it or couldn't go because she had to stay back and clean.
Yeah.
And the kids then decided, well, we want Piggy to play, and this is unfair that she can't play, so we're going to help her out.
The problem is that this is not actually a Cinderella situation that she is finding herself in.
Right. There is no real world equivalent of
Yeah.
her being kept from going to a thing. The only equivalent is she has to clean something.
She should have been Shawshank Redemptioning. That's what she really should have been doing.
Like digging herself out of the kitchen?
Yeah, she's been
Escaping?
sent to prison for a crime she didn't commit. She should be the fugitiving.
I mean, that would be much more interesting.
Yeah,
Even if they did it straightforward.
trying to find Skeeter and prove that she did it.
I mean, I just want to see all the Harrison Ford clips in The Fugitive with Piggy, animated Piggy, on top of that.
Come on, Harrison. She's there too.
She's jumping from the train. She's
like,
running through Chicago.
I didn't steal those cupcakes. I don't care.
It
That
was
would be
the
great.
one-armed pig.
Yeah. The one-armed weirdo. Come on.
Oh, that's so good.
You idiots.
Why didn't you make a Fugitive parody with your Muppet Babies?
I mean, the movie was not out yet, so there's one reason.
I guess that's a good reason.
I thought that movie was a lot older than 1993.
Well, I bet they were kicking themselves in
when they saw it.
93.
Yeah, he'd been really thinking about Pigerella ever since, being like, I could have done better. Shit.
Just every time he saw a new movie, he's like, that would have worked better than Pigerella.
Yeah.
Piggy Bueller's Day Off. That would have been better.
Great. Yes. Piggy Bueller.
Well, at the end, suddenly Skeeter isn't mean for some reason, and blaming her behavior on Nanny telling them not to help Piggy, which again, I don't think Nanny said.
No, she'd done other bad things before that too, including lying.
But the kids all realize it's not fair that Piggy cleans up the mess they're all responsible for. So Nanny comes in and she gets pissed initially. She's like, what are you kids doing?
I told you to stand in here and watch her clean.
Well, and Kermit convinces her. He's like, oh, hey, what actually happened was this.
Facts, Nanny. Yeah.
She did not believe Piggy when Piggy tried to tell her the exact same story at the beginning of the episode.
This is low-key the worst that Nanny's ever been.
Yeah, she just doesn't trust Piggy at all.
Yeah, but
and I think it's maybe because of the food thing. That maybe she's thinking that Piggy is more likely to want to steal food than Kermit.
She stole the cupcakes. Yeah, Kermit eats bugs.
If anything, Gonzo's the one that stole cupcakes in the past, so he's the one that shouldn't be trusted.
He's the one who snuck food.
Yeah. But she's going to make it up to the kids in the weirdest way possible by making them all fruit salad.
Yeah, fruit salad. I'm 3. That's my favorite food.
Who wants stinky cupcakes when you can have a fruit salad, kids? But Gonzo messes it up, spills all the fruit all over him. And he's like, I always was a fruitcake.
Shut up, Gonzo.
And then the go bye-bye. Gonzo comes in, cleans off our TV screen with a squeegee. The animal slams a cupcake against it.
The go bye-byes were weak in this batch.
I thought so too. I didn't want to say it because I've been overly negative.
No, they're too complicated now. I liked it when it was just animal on a flight of fancy, but now Gonzo's usually involved in them too.
Well, an animal doesn't need to be there. He's just a standby character in a couple of these where he's just watching something happen and goes, go bye-bye.
Yeah, there's one where I was like, is he even going to say it? Is there any reason for him to?
Yeah. Do you rate these episodes?
I don't think so, but I rate that one 0. And that was my favorite episode of Muppet Babies.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we're on a, spoiler alert for the next 2, I guess.
Can only go negative now, yeah.
Well, September 20th, 1986. The best friend I never had. Gonzo's...
This doesn't make any fucking sense.
Why?
This is what... The plot is so stupid. We saw a commercial. That looks fun. What?
It is very bizarre the way this episode gets into its premise.
Yeah.
Because the episode starts off with Gonzo drawing on the TV.
Bad thing to teach kids right off the bat.
Absolutely. It shows that they're watching Frankenstein, who he turns into Frankenswine. So
Dude
Piggy
wants to kiss Frankenstein. Is that what that means?
You know what?
I love Piggy so much.
I hadn't thought about it, but he is... if anyone's going to want to kiss Frankenstein out of the Muppets...
It's Gonzo.
I think it's Gonzo.
I think you're right.
So Piggy gets him back by drawing on his nose, which turns into a snake, which curls around him and rolls him away.
Real or fake? Who knows?
Thankfully, Scooter jumps in and says to Skeeter, "Change the sandwich wrap, Skeeter. It's my turn."
Too little, too late. They needed to start the episode saying, "We're not really drawing on the TV, kids."
Yeah, because the moment a kid sees a cartoon character drawing on the TV, they're like, "Ooh, now I want to draw on Gonzo."
Fantastic idea.
And I do love the idea of this plastic wrap on the TV, drawing on the TV thing.
Yeah, that's fun. I think so too.
And I think that would have been way more interesting to carry out
For
throughout the
whole
entire episode.
This is a classic. Yeah, you're right. This is a classic example of them burning the only good idea that they had for the whole episode in the first 25 seconds.
Which they do a lot, where like the first 2 minutes or so is kind of unrelated to the plot, but we usually just see the kids doing a fun imaginary thing.
Yeah.
Because this one ends up being tied to the TV, it is weird that it takes so long for the sandwich wrap thing to come back later. And then even when it does come back, it doesn't make, like, it's not necessary to come back.
Right.
But Kermit tries to draw a mustache on like a weasel or a mongoose. I don't know what it is. It's one of those things.
Uh-huh.
But he can't catch him. So Animal is like, "Hey, don't worry. I got this." And this is a moment where I thought I knew what the episode was going to be.
Uh-huh.
Because when Kermit's trying to draw on the mongoose, he falls and you see the plastic wrap get ripped off the TV.
Oh.
And then Animal's like, do, I got it. And I'm like, whoa, of course, Animal is going to really draw on the TV because he starts drawing who comes in, Nanny. And I'm like, oh shit, she's going to be pissed. Animal just ruined her TV.
Weird idea for an episode, but
Weird
still.
idea.
Yeah.
But then they cut back to Animal and you see their sandwich wrap on the TV again.
Yeah.
So really there was no consequence to what he did.
There's no danger.
Instead, we get to see an ad on TV for Hal's Computer Friend Finder. It's just a creepy looking dude who's asking the kids to all send in $10 and tell them about the pal you'd like to have, and we'll find you the perfect friend.
What is this? Is this like a dating service?
It seems like a dating service, but for like pen pals.
Yeah. This guy is creepy. Do you have that thing in school where you would fill out the thing and you'd see like who had a crush on you? Do you ever do that?
What?
It was like a bubble sheet you could fill out. It was actually just like your perfect match. It's like a bubble sheet you could fill out, and then you could pay like $2 to get the results back, and it would be like, you're most compatible with this person at your school. You didn't have that?
Who was the money going to?
I as I'm saying it, I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know.
Who organized this?
It was like an outside company that I think they would mail these bubble sheets in and have them. Sure, they were harvesting our data somehow or something. I don't really know. But the student council would sell them, I think, is what it was. So
that is bizarre.
You never had
I don't
that?
think.
And you get a thing that was like, "This girl likes you."
That's
like,
super fucking weird.
She clearly doesn't like me. She's never talked to me in my entire life.
No, but you have physical evidence. You've got a piece of paper that you
true.
can say, "Hey, Sally, these numbers didn't lie."
I feel like everybody got him back, and they just were so humiliated that they even got him in the first place. Because nobody ever was like, maybe nobody ever matched with me. Maybe that was the problem. Nobody was like, you and me, man.
Bizarre.
I can't believe you never had that. I thought for sure that would have been you would have said, yes, of course, everyone had that.
Not that I'm aware of.
It was like a little Scantron, and it was like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? All kinds of stuff about you.
No, I remember filling out a thing like that, and they were telling us what job we were supposed to have.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
You were focused on love, not career.
Yes, they only wanted us just to, make passionate love, not have jobs.
We did a thing where you could at like Valentine's Day, you could buy a sucker and like send somebody like a heart-shaped sucker.
Yeah, we had that too. I never got one of those either.
Oh. I don't think they ever did any compatibility tests though. That just sounds like a thing that school shouldn't allow.
Maybe I went to a school that was a science experiment.
You were in the Muppet Babies nursery.
Yeah, maybe I was. I did have a big diaper on.
That's why no one sent you any suckers.
Yeah.
Well, the babies are super into this friend finder idea, but Nanny's a little unsure, probably because she doesn't want to spend $80.
Oh yeah, I guess they each have to do it, huh?
which would be about $230 now.
Not worth it.
So if your 8 kids come up to you and you're like, hey, give us $230 so we can find some friends.
Yeah. First of all, nobody wants to be friends with you.
You're
And I know that.
babies.
And I know that for a fact. Yeah. Second of all, this is for dating. So it's creepy.
So Nanny wisely suggests, how about you just use old Scooter Computer over here to find your perfect friends.
It's catching on.
It's also a Schoolhouse Rock character.
Scooter Computer?
Yeah.
See, it rhymes. They knew. They know a good rhyme when they hear one.
I do like that Nanny gives them zero suggestion or guidance. She just says,
Yeah.
use Scooter's computer. Pff, it's fine. Like, there's a computer on TV. There's a computer in this room. Go do it.
And the thing that they do is not dependent on Scooter's computer in any real way, is it?
Well, he pulls up stuff on his computer based on the suggestions because, well, this one's a little rough, a little, it's a stretch. Piggy wants a pal who is short, green, and handsome.
Yeah.
Which leads to her results being Kermit Marlowe, Private Eye.
Why, though?
Because Philip Marlowe, Private Eye, was a popular HBO show at the time.
Well, I know that, but why is her friend, what's the private detective? It's just because of that. Because it's a private detective and they were like, I'm watching this show on TV right now. So he was like looking around the room. What do I write about? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, this was another fantasy sequence that had very few jokes. Like, the only real joke in it is at the end where Kermit can't reach the pedals in the car. And then
You're right.
Piggy just sort of makes magic happen or something, and the pedal extends
puns?
itself.
Wow. Yeah. What does she do? How does she make that happen?
I know that he can't reach the pedal, and then suddenly there's like a rod with a toy block on it that he can hit the pedal. I don't remember how the magic part happens. But yeah, for those that don't know, the Marlowe character has been around forever, not just this HBO show.
Yeah. So
He's been played by Humphrey Bogart, Elliot Gould, most recently Liam Neeson in a movie last year. It feels like there's like a ranking of sort of hero characters that have lasted forever. You got your James Bond. You're like, yeah, of course, that guy. He's always around.
Yeah.
And then you have your secondary tier, which is like your Philip Marlowe's.
Your Conan the Barbarians.
That he doesn't make the list.
Yeah, he's still around.
No.
Okay.
When's the last time Conan the Barbarian did anything?
He's always had a comic book. There's always a Conan.
Everybody's got comic book.
All right, Matt. Fine. We'll play by your rules. Who's another one then? The Shadow.
No,
the Phantom.
Hold on. Who's the character that Jim from The Office is playing now?
Oh,
that guy.
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan is another one of those characters.
Jack Ryan's a great one because it's like I'm sure people have seen all of the Jack Ryan movies and not even realized that he was like the same character across those movies.
Well, and Jack Reacher's becoming one of those now too.
Yeah, a lot of Jacks.
A lot of Jacks. I feel like there must be more, but I think there's just this like roster of male characters that they're like, it has to be all interconnected. We need 60 Jack Ryan movies and books
that people's dads really like or something.
Oh,
or like
they're only for dads.
Or at this point, like grandpas. Or for grandpas only. The grandpa.
That's the name of the next Jack Ryan movie. For grandpas only. Well, Fozzie wants a funny comedian friend, so Scooter picks Charlie Chaplin using the computer, who had been dead for quite some time at this point. So bad choice there, Scooter.
Yeah, but with your power of your imagination, you can bring anyone back to life.
That's going to be an unsettling episode of Muppet Babies when Scooter realizes that.
He has the ultimate power. This part was just, I couldn't hang with this part. So boring. This is such a boring episode.
Fozzie asks Charlie Chaplin to be his friend. Charlie runs away. And then Fozzie follows him to a shack where he tells him a bunch of bad jokes and gets hit with frozen tomatoes.
Yeah. Just even for Muppet Babies, this is not good.
And then Animal jumps all over the keyboard and says he wants a wild, slimy, crazy best friend.
Yeah.
And so we get a giant purple monster who comes out of the computer. I will say, not very slimy.
Not slimy at all. Fuzzy, in fact. Hard to make him if he was I feel like they still do the character design where it's like, this could be a Muppet if we built it. Like, we could build him. They're
He
all
looks like
furry.
a relative of Gorgon Heap.
Yeah, totally.
Like he looks like like if you imagine what the rest of Gorgon Heap might look like,
Yeah.
it's this guy.
Look like that guy. Yeah. This was a part that to me seemed like it really happened, but it didn't, did it? Because they really smashed everything up.
I mean, there's no possible world in which this really happened in the world of
All
Muppet
right.
Babies.
All right, if you say so.
Because that raises too many questions where Scooter's computer actually has the power to create things that then come to life in the nursery.
I suppose, but they just suck him the way that he gets sucked back into the computer right before Nanny walks in, and they're like, "Thank God, that time it was real."
Yeah, they have to turn off the computer because the animal's friend won't go away, and so they have to delete him before he destroys the nursery.
Yeah.
But then it's Scooter's turn, and he wants a very intelligent friend, and the computer goes blank because he has met his match in a super intelligent, perfect computer friend.
Why does the computer go blank?
I think it's to say like the computer is alive now.
Okay.
Like the computer is in control because it's very obviously a nod to Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey. This one's called Pal.
Yeah. This is just so aimless. Yeah, the computer.
But the computer is perfect and too smart. They play tic-tac-toe, but Pal predicts all of Scooter's moves and beats him.
Mm-hmm.
Scooter suggests a jigsaw puzzle, but Pal solves it instantly.
Do it. Such a dismissive computer as well. He hates Scooter.
Well, and then the computer's like, how about we forget about games and go to a party? Classic computer move.
Yeah, then he's at a party filled with other computers, and then Scooter says, okay, and then the fantasy's over.
He says, computer pals, phooey.
They don't do anything bad at the party. It seems like a perfectly fine, normal party.
Yeah, he just learns he doesn't belong in a room full of computers.
Yeah.
All right. Skeeter immediately decides to be the worst improv partner imaginable and goes, I'm not going to use the computer. I'm going to use my imagination.
Well, she doesn't need it. That's for her egghead loser brother.
So she's going to imagine an athletic, muscular friend. And so they find themselves in a gym where first Gonzo distressingly works out his nose muscle and grows like a little bicep in the middle of it. And then they find the worst Arnold Schwarzenegger impressionist the world has ever known.
Probably one of the most impressioned people of all time. And this was what they could come up with?
I will say, probably not at the time.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like, well-known person at the time, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't think the rise of the Arnold impression had probably happened.
You're probably right. Yeah, because Predator hadn't come out yet, so they didn't even have Get to the Chopper.
No Get to the Chopper. No, Fozzie's not going to say, you're one ugly motherfucker. Like,
Commando had come out, so he could have said, do you remember when I said I'd kill you last? I lied. They could have said that movie? Yeah, that's from Commando.
Fozzie can't remember his name, though. He calls him Arnold Schwarzenhopper, Sheep and Herder, Shirt and Sniffer. After that, Arnold just goes, yeah, that's fine.
That's me. You're legally not allowed to say my name, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. They're like, what if the voice sounds too good? Then he'll know we're making fun of him.
He'll sue our asses, yeah. Hey, I never met the Muppet Babies.
That's not me. It's a lie.
Of course you can do a good Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
I don't know that it's a good one. I think it's good relative to the one we had to hear.
Way better than that one, yeah.
I'll just re-record it.
We'll dub, I was going to say we'll dub it and re-upload it to the internet.
I really like the idea of Arnold being mad that somebody has accused him of hanging out with the Muppet Babies. But this, once again, is another fantasy sequence where nothing really happens and there's no jokes.
They just decide to be done with it eventually. And it feels like there's supposed to be a through line of them learning that, like, all of these people don't stack up to what they're looking for in the perfect friend, but that it's not reflected in what they're doing.
Right. If you track that logic, one, Kermit doesn't want to be with Piggy. That's the private eye one. He runs away from her.
Right.
Charlie Chaplin
also hates Fozzie.
Just doesn't like his jokes.
Yeah.
Which does not immediately, mean that no one will like your jokes, but that's the
Yeah.
they all get one shot at finding a friend, and
Yeah.
then they bail. Skeeter's, I don't really know why Arnold doesn't want to be their friend, or vice versa, but
I think he's working out too hard, and they're all just like trying to keep up
they
and
can't keep
hurting
up because they're
themselves. I'm pretty
children.
sure that's what it is. Yeah. They're babies at the baby gym, and they are not doing a good job.
And to be fair to Animal, I think he found the perfect friend, but his
Yeah,
friends
they just
wouldn't
killed him.
allow. Yes, they killed
They
his
killed
friend.
his friend.
Well, Gonzo brings back the TV drawing saran wrap thing by drawing Piggy as his best friend.
That's cute.
Yeah. And then we delve into Gonzo's fantasy, where there's a lot of buildup about what's going to be on the other side of that door when Gonzo gets home.
Uh-huh.
And I thought it was going to be the sketchy, weird drawn Piggy that he had drawn.
Oh, yeah.
Like a weird
Yeah.
monster Piggy who's like, kill me.
Yeah.
Somehow, it's weirder.
It makes less sense, too, because, well, it's Piggy with Gonzo's face.
Yeah.
But Gonzo has never imagined Piggy would be even better if she looked just like me. He loves Piggy how she is.
Yeah, this sets up a world in which Gonzo would prefer everyone to look exactly like him. From his best friends to his
Yeah.
wife to his babies. Everyone has a Gonzo nose with Gonzo eyes.
When actually in the next episode, we learn that it's his nightmare for everybody to be like him. He doesn't want that at all.
No. But yeah, at least this was something.
Yeah, it was fine. I did really like it when they would come to the door and say, "It's me, perfect Kermit. It's me, perfect Fozzie." That cracked me up for some reason. It was like when they were all abstract or whatever, and they were like, "Hi,
Yeah.
abstract Fozzie."
Yeah, it's at least, again, a strong choice. It's a little bit Twilight Zone-y. It
Yeah.
fits in with Gonzo's weird vibe.
Mhm.
I like that they at least went for something.
Yeah.
And then, something I forgot that would happen at some point. Rolf rolls in.
Oh,
He's like,
yeah.
oh, yeah, you know what? Well, good friends are like
It's
good
like
songs.
It's like a good song. Rolf, you say everything's like a song.
I forgot. Like, this caught me so off guard.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, a song. I forgot Rolf just non sequiturs into songs all the time on this
I'm
show.
here too. I haven't had a single line yet, but
I don't need a friend. I got my piano.
Yeah. True.
I got 88 friends.
That would be beautiful.
After they sing the song, Nanny comes back in to be like, hey, let me meet your friends.
The song's weird, also, by the way. The music video, they're building like a big man, you know?
Like
What
a
are they
Gonzo
doing?
man, right? He's got like a nose. I
Yeah,
feel
it looks like Gonzo. They've piled up all the furniture and they're covering it with goo of some sort.
Well, and the
but it
song's about how
never-
nobody's perfect.
Yeah, and that's not something that's been in the episode at all.
That's also like, if that's what you're teaching, it's almost more like, oh no, all those people you thought couldn't be your friends, like Charlie Chaplin or Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
they can be. It's okay
Yeah.
that they're not perfect. Like, they can still be friends.
No, they hate you. But they never like back away from the statue and be like, here's what we were trying to do the whole time. It's just extremely abstract and strange.
This season has me worried. But that is when Nanny is like, hey, let me meet your new friends. And it turns out that maybe our friends are the friends we made along the way.
Our friends are our friends. And they're the perfect friends.
Because all the Muppet Babies are just hugging each other and being like, turns out we don't need to make any more friends ever.
Nope. And nor will we.
That's not true.
Well,
Eventually they'll meet some stoners who are in a band.
yeah, that's okay. A rat.
They'll find a rat,
Yeah.
some penguins,
A shrimp.
a shrimp,
A chef that they hate, a demolition expert that they hate, a boomerang fish thrower that they hate.
It's just like real life, Sam. You don't have all the friends you had when you were 4 years old.
Yeah.
You find a lot of weirdos along the way.
Yeah. They're not the friends that you want, but they're the friends you deserve.
They're your coworkers you're stuck with.
Yeah.
Well, they go bye-bye at the end of this episode. I'm not really sure what happens here, but Gonzo scoots closer to Piggy and asks if she'd like to be closer friends. And then she flies into the air.
She does a Mario butt stomp.
There's 2 readings of this. One, not great. When he scoots closer to her,
Uh-huh.
I think he like so the less
What are you
terrible
about
reading.
to say? I'm so excited to hear this.
So the less terrible read is that he
Yeah.
scoots closer to her and she jumps away in fear or something.
Or disgust, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weirder, more negative, probably not the real one, but unfortunately where my brain went is that he scoots closer, and when he says like we could be closer friends, there's like a little like honk
Oh,
noise.
he squeezed her butt.
That's what I thought.
Matt, he might have squeezed her butt.
And that's why she jumped up and flew away.
Ew.
I don't think that's necessarily what happens, but I'm very confused at what did happen if it's
That's
not
a better
that.
reason to fly away than no reason at all.
Yes.
But
because otherwise
horrifying.
the only thing the honk noise would be is his nose like coming into contact with the side of her face, like he's
Yeah.
almost kissing her.
Which is logical.
But again, the honk noise and then the jumping up into the air off of the couch.
I don't think that's what happened, but
I hope not.
But it's possible. Yeah, Gonzo went through a period of not being a sex pest, but he's back on his shit.
Yeah, he like even Piggy kind of gets tricked into kissing him in the next episode.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of that next episode, it's the Weirdo Zone, which aired on September 27th, 1986.
I'll be born in a year and
Negative 3 days.
3 days. Yeah.
A year from now, you'll be 3 days old.
Oh yeah, that's a better way to say it.
And I'll be, 2 weeks old? I could kick your ass.
You could have really stomped me.
That's weird.
Your neck still ain't working, but
Yeah, but yours is worse.
Well, mine is worse. Yeah. That
You
is
still got
weird.
your umbilical cord on.
We could have
I'm
met
like,
as babies.
I
We
don't
could have
know,
been
it's
the
weird.
commitment babies.
I just like the idea of thinking about like, okay, so here's like 2-week-old Matt and like 3-day-old Sam. Something about that weirds me out.
That is really gross. Would we be baby podcasting? We'd have little plastic microphones and be like, I'm imagining I'm talking to Ira Glass or something.
Now, is Ira Glass hosting our baby podcast?
He's interviewing us because we have such a successful baby podcast.
What is it still about Muppets? Or is it just the first successful baby podcast?
No, it's Commitment Babies. It's about Muppets. It's what we do now. But we somehow knew we were going to do it in the past.
All right.
Yeah. He and Ira would say, well, now why is your show called Commitment Babies? And we'd say, well, it's a long story, but in about 36 years,
much like the real.
You'll understand everything.
Yeah, much like the real Muppet Babies. There's not a lot of logic involved.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, this episode is the Weirdo Zone, which was my favorite episode of the 3. That's still not saying much.
This episode was fine. It was absolutely nothing, in my opinion, but that also is high praise.
Well, it starts off with Scooter and Skeeter building a skyscraper with Lego. But Gonzo says the Legos are little blue space bugs from the planet Kakarocha. So he tears the skyscraper down to free the bugs.
And their big mom comes in.
A big, like, T-Rex Lego mom. But basically, this episode just kicks off with Gonzo's a pain in the ass.
He's walking around being weird, ruining everything for everybody.
Yeah. He pisses off Scooter and Skeeter by tearing down their skyscraper. And then Fozzie, Piggy, Kermit, and Rolf are playing Crazy Eights, which...
advanced game for babies.
Yeah, they must be able to at least read numbers, apparently.
They can count to 8 at least.
Because they show them successfully playing Crazy Eights. Like, they're not just, like, throwing cards around being like, rummy, gin, poker.
Yeah.
Like,
I think people in the 80s were playing way more card games, maybe, as part of this.
Not with 3-year-olds.
I guess, yeah, you're right.
And especially when you have characters who have said straight up, we don't know how to read.
This says that Crazy Eights was primarily played by children with the leftover cards not used during euchre. So their parents would throw them the leftover cards and play euchre.
Children, not babies.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm never handing a 3-year-old a deck of cards.
No.
Unless I expect that deck of cards to come back covered in slime.
Covered in anything. All of it's covered in slime. Yeah.
But Gonzo is like, that ain't Crazy Eights. I'll show you Crazy Eights. And then he invites over a bunch of actual living crazy number 8s. And he starts dancing on top of the card pile, ruining their card game. So they yell at Gonzo and say, "Can you act normal for 1 second?" And Nanny comes in and is like, "Hey guys, calm down. Gonzo's not weird. He's just different. And
And
everyone has the right to be who they are."
a nice thing to say, I suppose.
Yeah. The problem is it backfires
Yeah.
because she tells them, maybe you should try and take a look at things the way Gonzo sees them. And Gonzo is on board with this at first.
Mm-hmm.
And he's warm, welcoming, inviting. He's going to show the babies what it's like to be him. So he takes them into the Weirdo Zone. One thing I did love about this, they go through the closet door that Gonzo is constantly opening.
Oh yeah, to see the weird clips.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So it feels like that's Gonzo's domain. Like that
Yeah.
closet is his to own. And so when he's taking them into his world, I like that they go through that door.
Yeah, I like that too. I like this part in general, and I think the Weirdo Zone is one of those things where they could have spent the whole episode there, but they really don't.
Well, yeah, and they like do variations on it a few times, but to lesser success, I think.
And this is also the perfect excuse to do an episode that's made out of like 3 little vignettes or something. Because they could be
Mhm.
weird little Twilight Zone takeoffs that are like hosted by Gonzo, where he's like, "Now it's your turn, Kermit. What's the weirdest story you could think of?" Which is kind of what they do, but it's so like scattered that what they do is not actually like anything.
Well, and what they do like near the end is they get close to something we've had a problem with in the past, which they're not doing this season so far,
Uh
is when they get to like 8 minutes into the episode and they go, "Ah, shit, what now?"
huh.
And they do
Yeah.
like a big filler section
Yeah.
that they were just stretching for time. I don't
Right.
feel that as much in these episodes.
No, I don't either. I think you're right about that.
But I do think they get to a certain point in this episode and they're like, well, I guess Rolf can be weird now. And then Skeeter can be weird.
Yeah.
And it's like at that point, it felt like they were starting to stretch for time. But I think it works better in this episode because it reinforces the idea that Gonzo is not loving what's happening.
Yes, totally. They did have that nice through line. The last episode was a really bad offender of that though, where it was just like, I don't care about who Skeeter wants as a friend. It doesn't
Skeeter's
matter to
fantasies
me.
are always the worst.
Yeah, they're boring. She has no imagination. I
Or
don't
she's a
care.
cop, or she's working out with
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm like, these are not things I like. This is not how you have fun playing with your imagination.
Yeah, or she just is in a marching band and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we go into the Weirdo Zone, it's a very Salvador Dali inspired Weirdo Zone.
Uh-huh. And also like Wacky Land from Looney Tunes. Remember that?
Also very Salvador Dali
I
inspired.
suppose they're like the same thing, yeah.
Yeah. But we get the palm reading room, which is basically a library where a bunch of hamburger helpers are hanging out, reading some books.
They were Glovers, hamburger helpers. Remember Glover?
Yeah. Much shorter career than the
Yeah.
hamburger helper hand.
That's true.
And then we find a big old computer where Gonzo teaches us that he can look into the future.
Yeah, what? In the
This felt like a perfect chance for them to show some Muppets footage.
Uh-huh. And it also bothered me is that he's like, in 1 minute, this is what you're gonna look like. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be cool. I guess I'll pay attention in 1 minute to see if that's actually what happened. But no.
Because about 10 seconds later, the payoff happens because
Yeah.
he sees Piggy kissing him. And Piggy's like, well, that ain't going to happen. And then like 10, 15 seconds later, I think it's Fozzie bumps into Piggy.
Yeah.
And she
Lips
trips and
first.
falls.
Lips first try to do them. Just like
Yep.
how you do sometimes. I think another thing, speaking of like time weirdness, everybody talks so freaking slow in this show. It's like the dialogue is stretched out to the maximum to fill in those 22 minutes. Where like other shows, they're like snappy, you know? But this one, they're just like, Miss Piggy, how dare you? That's every freaking line.
The babies then decide that this ain't working. Clearly, going to the Weirdo Zone is not the way to find the weirdness.
Right.
So then I think it's Scooter who says, maybe we'd understand Gonzo better if we looked for the weirdness in ourselves.
Yes.
And then he peels his mouth open. And Scooter and Gonzo journey inside of Scooter's mouth. and then row a raft around for a while
Uh-huh.
before it turns into a giant glass of soda.
Scooter does a good job being a weird freak.
Pretty good job. You know, magic school busing yourself into your own stomach is a pretty weird idea.
Yeah.
Well, Fozzie also knows something that's weird, but
Tomatoes.
it's the
It's
attack
tomatoes.
of the silly tomatoes.
Yeah.
Can't say killer, gotta
No.
say silly. Even though they do use actual footage from the attack of the killer tomatoes in this. Piggy is afraid the weirdness is contagious, so she puts on a mask. And her decision is to unweird Gonzo instead of weirding herself. And so she ties his nose back with a rubber band and dyes his blue fur green. And then fixes his eyes
Forcibly
by
separates his eyes on his head.
pulls them to the sides of his head so he can look as much like Kermit as possible. Extremely upsetting visuals in that moment.
The weirdest thing anybody does, really.
They should have called her out on that.
Yeah. She really goes for it this episode. She's moments away from eating Camilla.
There should have been a moment when she's doing all this and she pulls Gonzo's eyes apart that she turns and all the other kids are just sitting there in
And they're like,
silence.
Oh.
Piggy, you're the weirdest of all of us.
Yeah.
Look what you've done to our friend Gonzo. Well, she is still upset with the weirdness after the segment, but she does not want to try to understand Gonzo any better. But forget that noise, because now Animal wants to be weird, and that's more important.
Yeah.
So we go to Animal's imagination, which is the only part of this episode that really annoyed me.
Oh, no. Okay. Because why?
Because it's not drawn in
'Cause it's not
crayon.
crayons. They forgot. Over their summer break, they forgot that it was crayon.
They're just in like a weird void because he rolls into them like a bowling ball.
Uh-huh.
And then I think they just sort of get absorbed into him is what's happening.
Yeah.
And we see some dancing severed statue feet dancing.
Yeah.
And then a hanging eyeball that scares them all out of the fantasy.
They've forgotten one of the only charming things about this show.
Yeah, like the fact that like, okay, we are going into Animal's imagination. This is gonna be weird.
Yep.
And then it looks just like Gonzo and Scooter's imagination.
Yeah. Disappointing.
But this is when Gonzo reveals that he doesn't like that everyone else has a little bit of weird to them. Because he worries his weirdness isn't really that special of a trait. And he starts to sing a song about it.
I liked this through line, and I like that they carried it through to the end of the episode.
Well, I like that he gets a sincere Gonzo song, which is a trait that we've seen many times before, is Gonzo having like an emotional crisis via song.
Right. Also, was this like the only song that Rolf didn't start ever?
Not ever.
Okay.
But I do feel like this one is more earned than the average Muppet Babies song.
Yeah. Right. It's not like an in-universe, now we're singing a song necessarily. It's more like, I don't know. It feels more like a musical than it does like them deciding that they're going to start singing a song.
Well, and it's about what's a semi-weirdo supposed to do? Basically, if he's not as weird as he thinks he is, what does his life even mean?
Yeah, this is actually a pretty good song. I thought the songs were less annoying in this batch of episodes than they usually are.
Well, I think what we noticed last time in season 2 is that they got away from the doo-wop idea by the end of the season. And so I think they've still sort of dipping their toes in every now and then, but it is not nearly as annoying as it was in season 1.
Yeah, now it's just kind of like a nondescript musical form that I can't quite place what it is.
But he decides he's going to be super weird to blow their minds, which is really just tying himself up in a knot.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work.
No.
And this is the moment when they are padding for time, but I think in a somewhat productive way. Because this is when Rolf decides, you know what? I'm going to be weird now, too. I'm going to tie my ears together.
He's like, even I can be weird, which is a funny thing to say, which is, I guess, kind of makes sense because he isn't really that weird of a guy.
No, it is like your most boring friend being like, guys, just wait till you see what I'm doing. You're like, oh, I bet it's real crazy.
Yeah. There's like that TikTok, that old Vine of it's like a girl, and I think there's like a caption on it that says like, I love her, she's crazy. And it's like a girl in the grocery store, and she's like putting different things on her head and going, ooh, ooh.
Yeah, that is Rolf.
Yeah.
Ralph's like, I got a viral video idea, guys. It's going to blow your mind. I'm going to tie my ears
Just
together.
tie his ears together, and everybody's like, "Great job, Rolf. You're doing it."
Remember when Scooter went into his own stomach?
Yeah.
Not quite as weird as that, Rolf. And not quite as weird as the weirdest thing we've ever seen on Muppet Babies, which is about to happen next. Because Skeeter goes, "You think that's weird?" And she takes off not only her glasses, but also her eyeballs.
Yes.
And she rattles them around inside of her glasses.
She's a Beetlejuice ghost.
So was Scooter when he opened up his mouth. So really, they both
Oh yeah,
got that Beetlejuice ghost thing going on.
That's where they got the idea.
That's when Beetlejuice got the idea.
Does this really happen? Is this stuff happening in the real world? Because the range going from Rolf tying his ears together to her taking her eyeballs off, either Rolf's really pathetic or she's really crazy.
I was going to say, I will give you that this one feels the most like something weird actually happening in the real world.
Yeah. I like the episode could end here. All the babies are just like, ah! And that's the end of the episode.
Scooter just goes, "Wait, do mine work like that too?" But it does feel like that happens for real in the world of the Muppet Babies. So I think for now we can maybe draw that right on the line between canon and non-canon.
That just means we don't know. That means we don't have any idea about any of this stuff.
I feel like we either have or I have seen screenshots of Scooter's eyes without his glasses, though.
It's on the newer Muppets TV show where they're like tiny. It was that lady that I sent you on TikTok. She showed a picture of it. Maybe that's where you saw it. But
I feel like there's also an animated version, but maybe I'm just wishing there was.
Oh, on Muppet Babies.
Yeah. I know there is on the newer Muppet Babies on the 2018 series. There's some parts where Scooter and Skeeter take off their glasses and you see they've got little like beady eyes.
Oh yeah, there's a whole Muppet Wiki page called Scooter and Skeeter's Eyes.
Oh, well, all right then.
And you do indeed see them in other episodes of Muppet Babies. There's a style guide page with his eyes.
Okay.
So
then I'm going to say it is not canon then.
Notably, we don't see Skeeter without her glasses on.
That's just not true, apparently, in the Snow White and the Seven Muppets one.
Oh, I had to scroll down a little bit more. There she is. You're right.
But Gonzo is getting more and more worried that all his friends are getting way too good at being weird, but holds on to hope that Piggy is unable to find her weirdness.
She ain't weird at all.
But he makes the mistake of challenging her on that. And so she weirds out and imagines everything as food, including poor old Camilla.
Yeah. And Camilla doesn't really look that much like food either. She just kind of looks like Camilla.
But the two things that Piggy wants to devour are the two most beloved items in the entire nursery, Camilla and Rolf's piano.
Rolf's piano, the most expensive item, too.
I guess she also goes for Fozzie's chair.
Yeah, that's what was funny. It was like, Rolf loves his piano. Gonzo loves Camilla. And Fozzie's always sitting in that chair.
Yeah, I guess there's only two things the kids care about. And they couldn't think of a good third one for a joke.
I really don't think Scooter's computer. She's eating Scooter's computer.
She could have eaten the computer.
That would be a hospital situation for her, though.
I mean, eating a piano is not great for you either.
And a whole stuffed animal.
You could down a stuffed animal, probably.
All right, Matt. I dare you. That's the next
live
live
stream.
Jinx, now we have to do it.
Oh. Wait, which one of us? Both of us?
Yeah, we both have to do it until it works.
We're going to eat your Ralph puppet.
I have so many stuffed animals. We can be snacking all night.
I don't think we're going to make it through more than one. Well, that ends with Piggy releasing a tidal wave of butterscotch that wipes out the nursery. And Kermit tries to reassure Gonzo and says, "Hey, everyone's got a little bit of weird in them."
That's
little
the
does he
wrong
know,
thing to say.
Yeah, he doesn't realize what horrors he's unleashing. As he grabs a green screen and stands in front of it and starts to make parts of him disappear.
Is that weird, though?
No, because it's Kermit, and of course he's the least weird.
Yeah, that's true. He's just boring.
And as we've always seen with his fantasy sequences, usually, up until this season, they've always been the most straightforward and boring, where he's just telling the story.
And just based on a movie he saw or something.
He's just the one trying to tell you about this movie he saw, and they're like, "Oh, cool, did this happen?" He's like, "No, it wasn't that exciting. It was just kind
yeah.
of, it's called My Dinner with Andre.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about it."
No, you're doing it wrong. This is how the right way to play.
So after the green screen Kermit bit, Gonzo's like, "I don't want to be me anymore. I want to be somebody else." And so he's gonna try to be normal.
Just a normal guy.
But in the middle of this is also when Nanny comes in, because she asks the kids, "Do you all understand Gonzo any better?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "We do." But Gonzo is like, "I hate it though. This
Too
sucks."
good. This is horrible.
So this is when he fails at being normal, falls into the toy drawer, and comes out with an octopus on his head and a slinky on his nose. And for some reason, the kids think that's gross.
Yeah, he's just like writhing around on the ground, and everyone stands around him and goes, "Ew."
Like, what about an octopus on his head and a slinky on his nose is
A
gross?
toy octopus, also, not like a slimy real one.
Right.
But he is suddenly below their contempt.
But that's kind of how the episode just ends, is I guess now that they're grossed out by Gonzo, he can be the only weird one again?
We don't want to be weird. Yeah.
You've out-weirded us by putting a slinky on your nose.
You've made it uncouth to be weird.
Yeah, I don't love the ending. I do like the earlier parts of this episode. I think with the ending, I feel like what would have been maybe more interesting is if Gonzo had tried to be normal earlier. And so then for like
Yes.
half
If
the episode, he's
Right.
trying to act like a responsible businessman Gonzo, where he's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'll never be weird again." And
Mhm.
they're trying to be weird to
They
like,
were all trying to inspire his weirdness to come back. Much,
yeah.
much better episode. Yeah. Straight laced Gonzo. I'll never be weird again. More compelling.
But instead, we cut to the credits with this version we watched. A surprising Stickly voice popped up.
Yeah.
Snap you back to a very specific moment in time when all of a sudden I
love-
hear Stickly's voice.
Love Stickly.
And the go bye-bye on this one is Gonzo on a yacht doing an American Express ad.
Stupid.
Is this the one where you said Animal didn't need to be there?
Yeah, where it's like, that's where it's like, is Animal even going to say it this time? He's
No.
just sitting way back there. How will the go bye-bye happen?
It just kind of does.
And it just kind of does.
I think
They've lost
maybe
it.
there's like a boat horn or something scares Gonzo. I don't even
Yeah.
remember what makes him go away. That leads to the go bye-bye.
Nope, I don't either. It's done.
Yeah, the go bye-byes have definitely gotten worse. I don't think they're
Mhm.
going to phase them out, but I hope they make them better.
They have so many more to think of.
So how's season 3 of Muppet Babies feeling to you, Sam?
I hate this show. This show's the lowest of the low, in my opinion. And I see people all the time saying, like, Muppet Baby is one of the best cartoons ever made. I just am not, I'm honestly not seeing it. There's a couple of times in the past where I maybe have been close to being like, I kind of get it. But for the most part, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know if there are maybe some standout episodes that people remember. I don't know if it's purely nostalgia that they're like, "Oh my god, I watched that show so much as a kid," and they've just never revisited it.
Yeah.
But it is not good, guys.
There's nothing here for a non-child to enjoy.
Right. Like I completely understand if you are 5 years old watching this,
Yeah.
but I don't know what anyone over the age of like 6 or 7 would get out of this.
Right. So if you do really like Muppet Babies, tell us
Tell
why.
us why.
We need to understand this because we have so much left.
Someone in our Discord did say that there was an episode in like the last season that made them cry.
Oh.
So
okay.
there's at some point some real emotional stuff that happens.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That's so many years away from where we are, but still.
Yeah, I don't want to think about how far it actually is in real time until we're talking about that season.
Is it actually years?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got years of Muppet Babies ahead of us, Sam.
Ugh. See, I just don't like that.
But thankfully, we're done. We did it, Sam. We crossed those first 3 episodes off the list. And now it's time for me to ask you about what non-Muppet Babies things you enjoyed this week.
So this is the week that we're recording this when the Aurora Borealis was like really popping off. You could see it from Missoula.
Yep.
But I was out of town and I couldn't see it. And you
Oh,
couldn't see
really?
it from Butte where I was, unfortunately.
Weird.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too.
People in like Chicago could see it.
Yeah. Well, I think there were places in Butte you could see it maybe, but I don't know. We walked outside and looked up at the sky and did the picture thing. We didn't see anything.
Weird.
So I don't know what was going on there. But while it was happening, we watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind,
All
and I
right.
hadn't seen that for a long, long time. Have you seen that lately?
Not lately.
It's kind of stupid, but
Mm.
it's beautiful. It's like obviously, it's just like, and at the end when the spaceship's singing its little song, it's like, oh, intergalactic peace. But so then my dad was like, let's go see if we can see the aurora borealis. We went outside, we looked up at the sky, and me and my dad saw a UFO. So that was one thing I'm seeing that I was enjoying this week. It was a little, really, really high up in the air, red dot that was like red fading to white was what it was. A dot, half red, half white. It flew through the air. Matt is gonna see my finger like this,
Mm-hmm.
and then it
Okay.
disappeared.
Like a little sine wave.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
then
up,
it was
down,
just,
up, down, up, down.
and it was just gone. And it was so high up in the air, and it was not a drone.
You sure it wasn't a drone?
Yeah, it didn't look like a drone. Like it didn't it disappeared, and it never re-entered our field of vision or anything like that. So maybe somebody turned the drone off a million miles in the air and it fell down. But
Your dad saw this too.
my dad saw it too, and we were both like, we're watching Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and no one is gonna believe us that we just saw a UFO. So
This is
we'll
also
keep it
one
to
of,
ourselves.
I would imagine, your greatest fears.
Yeah. Yes, there are parts in that movie that I'm not sure if they're supposed to be scary or if I'm just really scared of them.
Right. So, I mean, seeing a UFO, were you
Yeah.
like, oh, they're coming for me?
Yeah, so then later that night we drove around a little bit to try to see the aurora, and eventually I was like, we got to go back home. What if the spaceship landed?
What if they were waiting for you when you got back?
Gee, I didn't even think about that, Matt.
They're like, oh, they
Damn.
left? Cool. Let's go wait in the house till they come back.
Damn, dude.
And when they
you're
get in
right.
bed, just got them.
For people who don't know, I'm terrified of aliens.
I know
That's
you,
my number.
you froze for a second. I was like, they got him.
For people who don't know, I'm terrified of aliens. That's like my number one fear, basically.
Man, there's so many more rational fears to have.
Well, I'm normal afraid of getting eaten by large animals, but I'm also
I think that's also pretty far down my list.
in my opinion, normal afraid of an alien climbing in my window at night, taking me up to a ship, cutting my brain out. I don't want any of that to happen. And at the end, the little aliens come out and they're like, "Come with us to space," and I would say, "No, thanks. I'll stay here."
You get the option. I didn't realize it was an optional thing.
I would kick them down if I had to.
I mean, the thing I like about your fears is that I hear about those things happening in real life way
People
less
getting
often.
abducted by aliens and getting their brains cut out.
I said way less often than things that are like my kinds of fears, which aren't even fun to talk about because they're real things that happen to people all the time. So I'm like, those are the types.
Maybe mine is too, though. We just don't hear about it.
Yeah, you don't hear from people who get their brains sucked out.
Yeah, that's what I think. So yeah, UFO and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Those are what I saw.
Man, what a week.
Mhm.
I saw the Aurora Borealis.
How was that?
It was great.
Could you see it with your bare eyes?
So you can see it. You can see something there.
Mm-hmm.
It does not look like the photos. Like you have to break out a camera to see anything close to what the pictures you're seeing online. Like that is not what it looks like to the naked eye.
Right.
But you can see that part of the sky is a little greener and lighter or a little pink. And so you're like, ooh, I know where to point my camera.
That's cool.
Yeah. But we hiked up into the old mountains to go get the best view possible. And then we were out there till like midnight. And we come home and we look up and you can see them just as clearly from our backyard. So we did not need to drive up into the mountains.
Yeah, that's what all the pictures I saw were just people like standing in their front yard. I was like, shit.
Usually when they say like, oh, you can see the northern lights from the Missoula area, you have to drive like an hour outside of town to go see anything.
Yes, right.
but not this time because they
Yeah.
were some super geomagnetic storm thing I don't really understand.
That's what they want you to think. It's
Oh,
really
but
brain
really?
harvest. It was brain harvesting season.
That was the aliens distracting everyone so they could go abduct Sam.
Oh no. Yeah. Did you watch anything else besides the Aurora Borealis?
I did. I watched Turtles All the Way Down. Heard of it?
Oh, I have heard of it. Yes. How
That's
was
the
it?
movie. It was great. I was not like pleasantly surprised sounds bad,
Uh-huh.
but like it is a YA novel adapted into a movie, and so
Yeah.
sometimes this can be a little cheesy or corny. You never know, but this was actually really, really good. And I've enjoyed John's other movies that have been adapted from his books.
Right.
And I reread this book like a week or two before the movie came out, so it was like fresh in my memory.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a great job of adapting it. It's one of those things,
Cool.
like the things they cut out, you're like, yeah, I get it. That's fine. You can cut that out.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's very one. It's always a little bit weird, like knowing somebody who like made a movie. But also, what's
Yeah.
weirder about this one is that throughout the movie, the main thing is that Asa has a fear of microbes and bacteria infecting her,
Uh-huh.
and they partnered up with my old pal James Weiss, the microscopist who provided footage for Journey to
Oh,
the Microcosmos, the show I worked on for 5 years, and used his footage throughout the movie. And so there's constantly clips popping up on the screen that I have also worked with in my life.
that's crazy.
So it'd just be like if you're watching a movie and like SciShow videos just kept popping up in the middle of it. You'd be like, hey, I edited that.
Huh.
I edited that.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I know that clip. And it's very bizarre to see like footage you've worked with inside of a movie. And it takes me out of it a little bit, but like
Mhm.
that's a problem uniquely for me.
Yeah, you're the only person in the whole world.
Yeah, but it's very, very strange to see that footage edited into a movie. It's very well done, and I think it's like very effective for what they're using it for.
Yeah.
But as the person who has also edited those clips in very different contexts, quite bizarre.
Yeah, it's like when you see a Getty Images image on a movie and you're like,
Yes.
hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, I've downloaded that one too.
Just
Background.
understanding to the extent to which people do not go and take pictures of everything that they need to take pictures of for a movie, or go film everything they need to film for a movie, where it's like, well, plenty of people have flown over Rio de Janeiro and taken video of it. We don't have to go do that.
Oh man, there's always those like cheap like Hallmark movies or
Uh-huh.
the like talking cat kind of movies
Uh-huh.
where they have an abundance of establishing shots that are all stock footage.
Yeah.
And it just like every 15 seconds is like, here's another mansion in the Hollywood Hills. Here's a beach with a bunch of random people on it.
Yeah. Random people who are clearly from like 10 years ago.
Here's a car driving down the street. Is that our protagonists? Who knows? We'll never see this car again. Well, before we get out of here, we got to let you know what we're watching next time. And next time, we're taking a little bit of a detour from our chronological order to discuss the brand new Jim
catapulted
Henson.
forward in time. Painfully.
It's going to hurt?
Uh-huh. It's going to hurt
Oh.
really bad.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a chance of tears. This could be probably emotional.
We're definitely going to cry one way or the other.
Well, if you haven't, kept up with that, obviously what we're talking about is the fact that we're watching Jim Henson's documentary on Disney Plus called Jim Henson Idea Man, which comes out on May 31st. And then after that, we'll get back into Muppet Babies.
Oh, we have
Don't you worry.
We have to have a little break, please.
Yeah, don't worry. We've got, the documentary, a little bit more Muppet Babies, Sesame Street, Christmas Toy, a little bit more Muppet Babies. So we're breaking some things up this season.
Thank you for doing it that way, Matt.
Hey, if anything, mostly it's the calendar breaking it up.
Okay.
And
Thanks,
Ron
Jim.
Howard.
Uh-huh.
Well, we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all your commitment needs. You can also, if you want to, rate and review this podcast on your podcast listening platform of choice. That helps us out with charts and stuff, and I think helps people find the podcast who don't already know about it. You can also email us at mail@commitment.com if you have any of those weird British show clips with Jim Henson that you want us to see. And you can follow this podcast everywhere on social media at Commitment Pod, or you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.